Hi everyone. As promised, I'd bring you some further thoughts as we move towards Yule, winter solstice, even Christmas. And sometimes, kind of people merge them all together. And I want to kind of share with you some thoughts around that, my experiences and my perspective, and some of what's happened over this last week. So it's been quite a week. We never ever stop learning, do we? As you can probably hear within my voice, I'm recovering from, it's that time of year, a really nasty winter cold. I'm not sure what it was, but yeah, we never stop learning, do we? And one of the things that I kind of learned in October was a winter remedy. And I was looking through my hedgerow cookbook, and I discovered this fantastic remedy. And then I kind of done some research, and then randomly online this post appears with this amazing winter remedy, which basically was very simple. It was raw honey, lemon, cloves in a kilner jar, and you just shake this jar once a day, so everything kind of infuses, and then within 2 weeks you can strain it off and use it. Fantastic. And then over this last week, I was incredibly, amazingly, and kindly taught a step on from that, which is fire cider, using organic apple cider vinegar, using cloves, garlic, chili, ginger, onion, horseradish, lemons, honey, all kind of infused in this apple cider vinegar. And what happens, the fermentation then begins to happen. And what I've learned about kind of roots and herbs is that when they ferment, the body absorbs them faster. So it sits fermenting for around about a month. So it won't be ready for around about just under 4 weeks. I made it this last week. But the fermentation process is what really kind of infuses all those properties together. And if you kind of look at those ingredients, you've got anti-inflammatory in there within the ginger, within the onion. The horseradish kind of absolutely clears the sinuses. The honey soothes. The lemon juice is immune system booster. All of it is an immune system booster, but it's warming. Okay, so it's all about kind of cleansing, clearing, in a way, kind of even killing bacteria. Natural remedy. It was absolutely amazing to kind of learn about its properties, but also learn about the fermentation process. So learning lots. And those of you that follow me on my social media Facebook page, Spirit Meets Adventure, you would have seen that in the summer we just planted out a very tiny, very humble container garden. I'm absolutely privileged that I get to once a week go and spend time with my dad on his woodland, ancient woodland. But at home, a very humble, very gentle container garden. And what I went and done this week was cut all the lemon balm and all the mint from the garden before winter really takes hold. Winter is beginning to really kind of creep in the sense of the temperatures overnight and those early morning frosts. So cut all the mint, cut all the lemon balm, stripped it off, stripped all the leaves off, placed it on a tray and gently dried it out in the oven on a very low temperature, around quarter of an hour, 20 minutes, and leaves them then ready to grind and ground down. I ground them down, pop them in the jar, and they're going to be a base for a Yule Dream Tea that I'm going to be making. Those of you interested in this side of things, is that you'll find all that information over on my social media channel. Links will be within this video as well. So I'm going to be making up this Yule Dream Tea using valerian, using mint, lemon balm, and using mistletoe tea. All mistletoe and valerian have come from the Indigo Herb Company, who I can't recommend enough. Links will be within this video as well. And they have this incredible resource. So yeah, I'm really excited about kind of using that, but learning so much and kind of working with the seasons. And I guess that for me is what Yule is about. You know, if I kind of look back at my life, you know, growing up, you know, I was raised in a culture, in a society that celebrates Christmas. And I can remember, you know, as a child, I found it a wonderful time of year, magical even, you know. I think it was, you know, looking back, it was very magical. I truly feel that magic is more apparent at this time of the year. But I also feel, and I don't say this lightly, it's if it's almost coming back into the world. If you kind of track back some of my previous videos over the last few months, you'll see that there's been quite a journey for me and an unfolding. You know, and a very, very good friend of mine, who I get to share some many adventures with, many experiences with. Matt from Golden Glow Healing. He was talking about his dreams, and within this last week, he had this dream of this big huge wall collapsing, and it was really loud and almost this shattering as this wall collapsed. And you know, kind of absorbed that, he's digested that, and some of what we were sharing, some of what we kind of interacted and felt was as if, you know, literally that veil in a way is collapsing, and that sense of magic coming back into the world, which may be why people are having some of the experiences that they're having at the level that they're having. Now, the important thing is to absolutely ground and root and stabilize those experiences. You know, for me, I've walked this path now for over 26 years, but the force that's come back into my life, that aspect, which I'll share in next week's video, more, the force that's come back into my life, you know, I've had to really kind of root myself, ground myself, and allow this to really become integrated. So I feel that more and more people are having those sort of experiences. Magic absolutely is coming back into the world, and I think it's probably needed at this time as well, you know. And the core ingredient, which I'll share more about next week, the core ingredient of it is to remember that we have that innate ability, but within us, we're born with it, but in a way it's deconditioned out of us, it's knocked out of us through different many forms and different ways, you know. You know, going back only 100 years, the beliefs that we have or share, they would have been possibly we would have been persecuted for. So there's been a lot of suppression. So, you know, I do feel it's coming back into the world. It's more apparent at this time of year. You know, you've only got to look at some of the stories, some of the movies, some of the imagery that we see around us. You know, it is more apparent at this time. So, you know, kind of looking at that, you know, and to be honest, the religious aspects of Christmas growing up weren't really important to me. You know, in a way, really being honest, I never really noticed them. What I loved and what really shaped my values was the sense of of community, you know. I think last week I shared with you the experiences I had with my granddad and what he done for all of us as children. You know, him disappearing down the garden path as granddad and coming back in disguise as Santa. Santa appeared, you know. It's a wonderful time bringing the family together, you know, sharing, you know, or watching TV or just falling asleep in front of it. But for me, spiritually, it's one of my favourite festivals. Um, the winter solstice. You know, the winter solstice for me is my most favourite celebration, festival. You know, because inwardly I know that 3 days after the solstice, you know, that gigantic ball of fire will begin to increase its arc in the sky, and each day will get around about 2 minutes more daylight in the evening. You know, it's the birth of the sun, the solar sun, you know, rather than the prodigal son. And for me, you know, that's an incredible thing to celebrate. Really incredible. You know, so to sit down and to share a wonderful meal on the 25th of December, 3 days after the solstice, with friends and family, opening gifts or sharing gifts, and celebrating makes perfect sense, no matter what we call it. But you know, the biggest thing I'm aware about and I really sense inwardly is this feeling that we're about to step from the darkness of winter into the light, and the light is returning. There's a very powerful kind of transition, there's a very powerful shift, and it's about, you know, kind of harnessing that light. You know, those of you that follow me on my social media page, Spirit Meets Adventure, over the coming weeks, you're going to see some interesting posts and some interesting concepts, all woven into, you know, ancient kind of traditions, really, you know. One of the ones that I absolutely love is the Nordic one of Freya at this time at winter solstice, sitting on a spinning wheel, weaving the fabric of light together, weaving the fates. You know, it's a powerful kind of image, a powerful concept that at that time of birth of the sun, the birth of the light, is very powerful time to kind of, you know, allow yourself to be birthed into a new cycle of time, and our thoughts and our words and our actions have powerful ripples in this world, more than we know, and they affect us and the world around us. You know, if we can harness that consciously and move it consciously, you can touch your life, the lives of those around you, and the lives of the world and the world itself in the most beautiful of ways. You know, it's a real incredible time. One of the other names for this time, the winter solstice, is the Feast of Potentials. You know, it is a time of so much great potential. So to gather around the table straight away, when we come and we sit at the table and we gather around that table, there's an energy to that. You know, you're, and especially if you're harmonized together as individuals, you know, which is why I always say, be wise, be choosy about who sits at your table. You know, if you sit and you're harmonized together and you come together to sit around that table, there's the Feast of Potentials right there, and that is the beginnings of very powerful magic. You know, don't underestimate that. So you gather together, you harmonize, you kind of start to consciously connect at that time with that Feast of Potential, so to speak. What you then begin to weave into the world can be very magical, you know, very magical. So sense of community, you know, and that's really powerful. You know, I think that most of us would know that those kind of Christian festivals, if you like, Christmas, has the most obvious of heathen and pagan roots. I don't know if we really know when Christ was really born. And there are plenty of kind of blog posts out there on the web about the pagan origins of the festival. They're worth exploring, they're worth looking into. Again, if you jump on my social media page towards Yule, then we've got the full moon right the other side of winter solstice. And the word Yule, Nordic word, Jul, means will. So what we're talking about is the will of the year. But we've got the full moon right the other side of it. This is an incredible, powerful time. Really powerful time, more than we probably realise. Um, but I kind of wonder, I wonder if the vast majority of people, when they set up their decorations, they cook that gorgeous meal, they exchange those gifts, wondering, when they sit down to watch that TV program or they gather around that table, what are they focused on? What really is at the heart of what they're doing? I'm wondering if they are aware of the winter celebration rather than the birth of the sun, so to speak. What really are we kind of connecting with? And I think for me it was all about trying to get to the raw, real, underneath the layers, the raw, real celebration. And if anything, celebrating family is absolutely a celebration within itself, which I would always say to people, just slow down. I don't have to go rushing around those shops to fill your table or to fill the space underneath that tree, Connect is at the heart of it, So, for me, that position of that sun is so important to me, and I celebrate that on the day of the solstice in the most profoundest of ways, and I absolutely consciously do connect with those I gather with, and I know those I gather with, that there is an absolute energy to that. There is a magic to that, and then what we can weave together can be profound in the way that it touches our lives, the lives of those around us, and beautifully touching the world itself. Not said lightly. So I celebrate that on the day of the solstice, and then a few days after, on the 25th. Luckily, it seems that most of the world is celebrating something too. So I think it's about forgetting the differences that we may have, the paths that seem different, and focus on having one big celebration, whatever you call it. Have the most wonderful time and the most wonderful experiences. And for me, I absolutely hail the sun being reborn. So, as we move forwards, I'm going to share a little bit more about that and some of the other things that I wanted to share with you. As I had a lovely subscriber from the channel asking to hear more of the stories and the direct experiences. I think it was Bridget, wanting to hear more of the stories and the experiences that I have whilst working with some of my clients. There is some great ones coming, some really good ones coming, and I may share with them with you early January or even before, if it feels right and it's unfolding, then maybe before. If not, it'll be early January. And one of the ones I want to gently share with you is an experience of an exchange where spirit comes through for for a person I'm working with, and talks about how honesty is love. How honesty is love. So watch out for that one. As I say, early January, if not before. Um, those of you who have been asking about the live events, you've been seeing some of the things that are unfolding on the Facebook page. Is a Yule live event is actually already in process. The steps, the information, the journey is underway, and that is full. That event is full, and it's sold out. But I do have spaces at the moment on our Easter live event. There is spaces for that at the moment. Also, those of you that have asked about bookings as well, I've had a few people on the social media channel asking about bookings. There are a few spaces. The best way to get those booked in is probably email me directly at the office, shanegadd@shanegadd.com. And also, those of you who asked about gift vouchers, gift vouchers are available via the website, which is allthews.shanegadd.com. Bookings, as I say, there is a few, but the website will be able to take bookings for those of you that are wanting early January. That is absolutely up and running. So I'm going to leave all that with you. Hope that's stirred up some thought for you, and I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Next week I'm going to talk to you about the mechanics of magic at this time, and how some of those experiences, like I say, gathering around the table, that's a dynamo there, especially if those are harmonized that you're sitting with. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about that, and a little bit more about how that's come back into my world with the force that it has. Take it easy, guys. Look after yourselves. Enjoy this time. And also, tomorrow is a new moon, okay? Whole new wave of energy. Enjoy. See you all soon. Bye bye.